showed you, because it was a shot from the halfway line, and all the outfield players are only 10 yards in, that the linesman was absolutely legging it to try and get back. And he probably didn't see because he was probably too busy running. Yeah, because it's not easy to run and look.
No, it no.
It's not easy to run and look.
Hopefully.
Well,
It should be, I'm not sure.
we might have to be moving people around.
That drive set it off because he should have been watching one ball there.
Yeah.
We were, weren't we?
Yeah, I didn't see it on that at all. What are you throwing away now?
Sion Curtis has gone to King's Lynn.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
No.
I didn't see that coming because they're in a right. Arlie Curtis, he's gone on loan to King's Lynn because they're struggling
Right down
with
the
everything
bottom,
and no money.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of tackle running out there. Well, I'd be surprised if people weren't interested in it.
Well, Oxford's, it's been on their website.
Yeah, well, they have made a bid.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who is in the know.
Oh,
Lots of them around, didn't they? Swore blind and Big Derby County supporter. It's all but fortnight. No, before Christmas this was. Oh, yeah, so he's coming to
Well, that's just because manager were here to match, isn't it?
Yeah.
Manager was here, their manager was here to match Warren's.
He's meant to be some interest in it.
But Paul Warren, he was here
Yeah.
a couple of weeks before Christmas. But if you like him, if you like him as a player, he's got 6 months of his contract left. Now's the time to get it, because if you leave it till the end of his contract, him and his agents will just want silly amounts of money. So you're going to have to pay a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas now he'll just want to go, and realistically, the club won't be able to demand a big fee.
We've got Berry.
I would, with what we've got, I wouldn't be worried. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be worried.
Yeah, probably so.
I had a look at matches we played without him this season, and we played 7 and won 5 of them.
Yeah.
So that's not quite as good, but winning 5 out of every 7 is
He didn't
winning.
play particularly well when he first came back.
No.
But he has been playing really well now. But there's 1 or 2 players who you would expect there'll be some discussions going on about contracts. I mean, Banks has had a contract in the season.
Yeah.
It's very surprising he's not been offered something. It'd be very odd to me if he wasn't. And I know nothing. Just as a support, you say to yourself, well, if he's out of contract, surely they're going to be interested in keeping him. Right? Banks, I say, he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know.
And if you've seen that, I don't know if you've seen that little video, the little thing that there's 2 guys who play for, was it Boreham Wood, who do these, the current Boreham Wood players.
Yeah.
And
they did the interview with Ollie.
An interview. It's
they'll be on the 92. Oh, it's Boreham Wood players.
They're both current players. I find it very interesting. And he came really well on that, and he was obviously so happy here, so it's more like
And of course, what it might be is, they might have decided just not got around to signing anything.
Yeah.
And sort of understandably, if you have 5 people sign on the same day, you don't necessarily want to release it all at the same day. Yeah, thank absolutely.
What's nice is there's 2 ones who are coming on.
Yeah, well,
are improving.
Academy's got something.
Last few matches aren't really.
Well, unless there's that many going there, they have something on every night anyway.
Harry is quite immature.
There is, because you've got that NHS thing.
And have they still got the lorries? Where the
I think
lorries
they come down at night.
Yeah.
If it was going to do it,
It's just that. We're standing people. I think you'll get put out of this.
yeah, that's true.
What is it, that NHS thing?
It's the blood tests for cancer. Effectively by invitation.
Because it came and went, didn't it? Back again.
Yeah, it did. Sort of this time last year as well. It's an experimental thing, effectively.
Is it Genesis or something it's called?
I'm trying to remember what it was. But effectively, they invite people roughly our age, and they do a test that potentially highlights lots of different cancers. It's an experimental level.
Yeah.
Well,
You've got to test things, and
yeah. So it can do no harm.
Yeah, it's homework.
So, yeah, if you're putting stuff into you, it might be more of a thing, but just taking your blood out,
Yeah.
they can do massive trials.
Yes.
A lot of people have it.
Absolutely.
And it's really been stalwart in defence.
I'm surprised all the cars are only people going to be.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Cookie can't say it.
They're all next to them. They're all next to them. Wondering like no business.
Did you get booked on Saturday?
No, we didn't have anybody booked at all.
Cook didn't get
No.
booked either.
No.
Bloody hell, that's a good deal, man.
We've had quite a few games lately where we've not had anybody booked. And there was one game not long ago, can't remember which one it was, that there was nobody from outside booked, and that was the first time for a while we've had that.
That was last match. They were nobody from ours.
But from both sides. There were one just before Christmas, there were nobody from both sides. And that's highly unusual.
It's the 4th of January, isn't it?
It is. It's not, so you're not been on holiday this year.
It's 30 years today since I passed my driving test.
Is it?
Yeah.
On Saturday.
I wasn't here, unfortunately.
Not Saturday, on Monday, I should say.
Yeah.
It were all right, that.
Listen
Right?
I listened to Phil instead. I was in.
Well before that. Well before.
I don't know when the theatre
Well, I was
test came
listening to
out.
them on Saturday.
87 and 90, because I was doing it initially.
I'm not sure if Emma will have got 17 in 97. I don't think she did it, so she might have been one. She might have done. Might have been one of the last ones that didn't do it.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Oh, not from the very beginning, but within the in Sheffield.
Mm. And of course, it gets harder because I was listening to something relatively recently. It was sort of saying there's something like 200 updates in the highway code every year, so you can't rely on learning it because it'll all blooming change.
Yeah.
My grandfather took his test in the pub. He was a firefighter in the war, and he'd not got a license before, but he rode a motorbike. So at the end of the war, they said to him, "Well, do you need a driving license?" He said, "Well, I've only got a motorbike." So he had a motorbike license. And a few years later, he got a car and realised he had to take a test. So he went down to take his test, and it was his supervisor from when he was a firefighter. He said, "What are you doing here?" He used to drive, fire engines. He said, "No, got a car test." He says, "Oh, what have you been doing?" "Come have a catch up." And sat and bought a couple of pints. And he said, "Oh, I better give you your certificate before you finish."
Well, back in the Top Gear day when Clarkson was on there, and he was still few. He went to India, and he showed the driving test in India, and somebody was in a car with the instructor, and they drove on a straight line and turned around at the top and drove on a straight line back. But there was a second person booked at the same time, so he went in the car on his own behind them. And so they did 200 yards straight, 200 yards back, and he wasn't even in the car with the instructor.
Going on the pub theory, can't you remember we used to get MOTs?
I'm going to say you get.
I was just going to say,
MOT used to cost you a pint, didn't it?
80s, Bulls in at Ollie side, you could get the MOT in.
And of course, you weren't driving to the pub because that would have been a foolish thing to do.
Oh, you didn't need to take your car.
No. Yeah, there were plenty of them around in the MOTs.
There were.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock. We are at the appointed hour.
We are live.
And
We
are
can
live.
be heard.
Came round, I thought we were going
Oh,
to have
that's amazing.
And we've got some more.
We've got 9 watching, so hello.
Yes, hello everybody. It is 7 o'clock, so we'll start. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's hope it is a Happy New Year. So, I'm glad that Pete's here, so at least we've got some club representation to initially pass on the communication that we've had this time. It has to be said that the majority of communication we've received ahead of this drop-in is about post-match cars moving in the car park. as we're getting 7, 8, nearly 9,000 regularly now, obviously it's a very, very different thing to pre-COVID when we were getting 3 men and 2 dogs, and one of the dogs wasn't bothered about coming. So I think we've just about sold all of the car park tickets, are they?
For the last 2 seasons, there's been very little casual car parking. We keep a few disabled spaces both for home and away.
Yeah.
And the ones up in the corner where the sports bars, or where the container bars potentially going, are sometimes available. But a lot of those are taken up by surplus from the lounges. So the lounges are full. There's very little. So we're working on the fact that most matches, particularly Saturdays, every space is full.
Yeah.
So, and that's not really particularly changed over the last 2 years. What has changed is a lot more people wandering around the car park. So,
and what we're starting to get now are reports of near misses.
I mean, some Monday was dreadful to put one idiot around there.
I would say of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 or 14 emails we received, all bar one of them was about Monday.
Yeah.
That's not to say there wasn't an issue before, but Monday must have been particularly.
We've had the old concern in the past, particularly about individuals that we've not normally identified. This is the first time I've seen it on social media like this, and obviously it's reflected in those emails.
Yes.
We've not had this kind of an issue before, and whether it might be down to one idiot that's basically pushed his way through lots of crowds.
And if one idiot starts doing it, somebody will follow him.
I thought they weren't supposed to move.
No, they're not.
They're not supposed to
They
move.
never have been supposed to move, but they always have, but it's got worse.
And this year we did put it on the passes.
Yeah.
So if you've got a pass, it actually says on it, you can't move until the stewards tell you it's safe to do so. And we say it could be up to half an hour. It's never half an hour. But
Yeah.
Sorry, do you know where the Holland meeting is?
It's in the next door down. It's the other side of
It's
these.
the other side.
Yeah.
Just go outside and
It
then
is.
go.
Yeah.
All right.
Holland meeting. There you go. Holland meeting. They'll be going on the
end
end of the season tour to Holland.
Oh, I thought you meant Path, actually.
Accrington.
I think one of the issues is that the stewards need to report it, and they need to write down, even if it is, right, have a piece of paper and a pen, write down the registration number. They've moved, they won't listen to you. You can't do anything at that point. You can't leave at that point. Write down the registration. You guys then get the registration and go, right, this is your one warning.
Yeah,
if you do it again, your pass is cancelled and you don't get any money back.
There's no difference, in my opinion, to the approach that we've talked about in here before about antisocial behaviour. The one strike or whatever you get, and you get a contract type of thing. We talked about it 2 meetings ago, didn't we? Yeah. And it's no different because it is antisocial, but it's actually got a danger associated. So Pete, let Pete say what he says, and then I'll read out the email.
So we've not had it. We have had individual things. We actually had. I won't name the club, but I can't actually remember which club it was. We had a director who left right on full time because obviously he was trying to get somewhere and complained that he couldn't move, and he was one that kept edging forward towards the steward saying, "Don't you know who I am?" And the steward knew who he was and said, "You're going nowhere, mate." So we have had odd individual ones. I've not seen. I've not seen whether anything's been reported. I don't think we've had the post-match safety officer's report yet. I may have missed it today. So I'm not seeing whether it's actually gone as a matter of record. I think it needs to, like you say, you take a registration, or you can just take the space to come out of. In some cases, we know which space people are in, although most of it is zonal. But we need to know that. And as well as being antisocial behaviour, it could well be a criminal offence.
Yes.
Once you're in a vehicle, even off the road, you could well be breaking.
Well, it's certainly civil offence, isn't it? Because you're breaking the bylaws of the area. So Jackie has said, and they're all very much of a muchness, but my husband and I were nearly bumped by cars twice, and one was when we were on the zebra crossing. I'm told that cars have to wait 20 minutes before they can leave the car park. That's right. That's what people sign up to when they get them. And one of the issues that pushes that close is because there are 9,000 people in, and they're generally winning, and people stay behind to but very few people go on 87 minutes these days because they know there's 5 more goals to come. But as it's you either you're more likely to leave an ambulance with the heart attack. But of course it gets closer because it takes longer to get out because there's more people. People stay longer to applaud the team. So it's 20 minutes isn't very long, is it? But it says when the game finishes, we want to applaud the team and use the facilities because we're doing well. More people, more queues, blah blah blah. Which is one of the issues that we're talking about. And then one point worth noting, Pete, he says according to one fan, and this is hearsay, so it's not what Jackie's saying is her experience. According to one fan at an early match, she took a photo of the car and reported it to the club, and nothing was done. Well, of course, there may have been something done. We don't know if there's been, but that's Jackie's perception.
I'm not aware of that, but it could have gone to Tony.
Yes, of course. Then James has said post-match car park save serious issue. I've had to dodge cars intent on trying to get to the front of the queue, and had to suffer a very close pass at the Solihull match. The drivers concerned will be well aware of the agreement. Well, they ought to be. The club must surely have an email database of all the permit holders. They do, but I don't think we take registration numbers because, of course, you could come in a different car. So there's no registration numbers or anything like that. And then James has suggested this could be back to PA announcements prior to kick-off and another half-time, blah, blah, blah. And then his view is any transgression should lead to parking permits being revoked. And it's not an ASPO thing, it's the antisocial contract or whatever it is. And this came from Paul Goodwin, who isn't able to get tonight. I think he's worrying about all his buses on Saturday. Quite right too. I've had a call today from a fan in her 70s complaining about vehicles moving out of the space as well as the car park still full of pedestrians. So it's another grist to the mill. Then Steve said cannon had to be raised regarding exiting the car park after a match. I appreciated larger attendances and all that sort of stuff. Would there have to be police presence on Sheffield Road to stop traffic to allow cars out of the car park? Anything to help speed up the exit from the car park, I'm sure would be appreciated by supporters. That's speed up after they've waited for 20 minutes. What I don't know, and I genuinely don't know because I'm always in the ground, is are the barriers down? And do they lift the barriers?
No, the barriers aren't down.
No, the barriers aren't down.
The stewards stand there and stop them.
Cones and
What it is,
cones basically either side of the immediate exit road.
I know that sort of up until sort of November, the back barriers were the back bollards were down.
Yeah, we'll come to
and
the
a
back
lot of people were going out that way, which eased a lot of the queuing.
Yeah, we'll talk about the bollards in a minute because I've tried to lump those together so I don't have to jump all about. Another one, after an incident after the Solihull game, can I ask, it says there's a little bit of not quite understandable on every element of this. Can the announcement be made by Howard because nobody hears whoever does the announcement now? I did notice, I know when we've talked about the tannoy, and there's no specific tannoy things in this time. You would hear the Rosa Dogs on Saturdays.
Perfectly.
I took them out. And I could hear Howard fine. But the emergency, the non-out were awful. And Adams always said, "Oh, you'll always hear them." Well, they were terrible on Saturday.
Well, I've never heard them.
East Stand, where I said you cannot.
They were terrible on Monday.
Our colours were absolutely clear. But if it's anybody else making the announcement,
that needs raising because normally they are.
But they were
powerful ones.
And the only reason that I was able to listen more than normal is on our pre-recorded interviews between 2 and 3. We've got some long ones, so I was able to take my headphones off for quite a long time and therefore heard some, or didn't hear the emergency ones.
The deeper the voice, the harder it is to hear.
Yeah.
If you've got a higher voice, it's a sharper voice. The deep voice tends to drone a bit,
Yeah, can we get Joe Pasquale?
He'd be a good man for Joe.
Yeah, somebody said to me the other day, "Oh yeah, Joe Pasquale is a Maidenhead fan, isn't he?" I said, "Oh, I didn't know, you see." And about half an hour later, it was No, it's Timmy Mallet in it. That's the Maidenhead fan, not Joe Costello. So it seems to me there's a large issue with the people parking at the stadium leaving at the end. Then this person said, I myself have not experienced such incidents, but cars moving while fans are still exiting the stadium. I'm sure it sounds over dramatic, but there's a serious accident waiting to happen. You can't disagree with that. And it is about, you don't want to do it after the horse has bolted. It's an important thing, isn't it? Marcia said it needs to be on the agenda. It was last brought up in June, so we have talked about it before, but crowds, I mean, they were fantastic last season, but it's the home attendances are up 15% this year on last year, which is incredible, really. And it was about not sure if the club reinforced the terms of the pass as well. I think they were reinforced, weren't they? So it's certainly more on it this year on ours. As part of the car park issues, what's supposed to happen with the bollards? That's the question. What is supposed to happen with the bollards at the back of the ground? I know we had TNT at the match yesterday, and that wouldn't have helped. But the bollards were up, so the whole car park, including the Solihull fan coaches, had to use the front entrance to exit the car.
Adam said they didn't, but I know at least one coach went out the front, and not the player coach.
Yeah, well,
it was a fans coach.
For reasons unbeknown, because normally when you lose, you go quickly. The car park was empty before the Solihull team coach left. They were there a long time on Monday. On the 23rd of December, the bollards were down before the match, but they were put up within 10 minutes of the final whistle. Adam has said, just so people know, this is what's meant to happen. The service road exit after the game is for coaches only and always has been, open brackets, should be. The Solihull coach exited through that way, not the main entrance, but were there more than one coaches?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one obviously didn't if it was witness
No.
And a few cars did follow before the barriers were put back in place. Before the game, it's a one-way system. That's not always enforced. There was somebody, as we were coming in last week, there was somebody coming out the main entrance and wasn't enforced.
I don't know what time they enforce it from.
Right. Maybe because we'll have been there at 12:05 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's after 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Okay, fair enough.
And that's another issue at the end of the game is cars and particularly taxis trying to come in to pick people up.
Yes, somebody mentioned that further down, which is a very, very valid point. It's another problem with increased numbers seeing a slower exit from the car park, but this is the same amount of cars this season as there were last season because it was full last season. It's full this season.
But last season the bollards were down. The whole
They shouldn't have been.
They were because when I park out there and I wait for Kurt, I have to wait for him to finish, and I've always driven in through the bollards to come in, rather than going and waiting through some of the traffic that's still waiting to get out. I've not been able to do that this season, or since about October. Yeah. That's when the bollards, and that's what I can understand, is that it isn't a normal thing, in my opinion.
Officially, ever since the stadium opened, that has been coaches only.
Yeah.
So whether, I know for a while, there was one bollard not working, which actually gave you an opportunity if you wanted to.
I know.
And
Stewards have been last season and at the start of this season. Stewards have been showing people to go out that way to cut the queuing down.
Well, PC Adam says he's going to discuss with Tony Booker, the safety officer, because I think a more organised exit strategy can be achieved. And he did mention which. Whoever it was, either Neil or Nigel, I can't remember who it was that said it now. There's also a wider debate around encouraging use of public transport. Certainly the issue on Monday was caused by two cars trying to enter the main entrance to collect people. So, that can, because I think they normally line up two lanes, don't they?
One to go in left, one to go in right.
Yeah. But if you've got a taxi coming in the other way, that blocks one of them up. So that's very much something that's it's difficult to control, because if the bloke just turns in,
we just want a steward stood at the top and stop.
But it's almost perhaps
laying down their life if necessary.
Absolutely.
It's whether we need a designated pickup spot that's on the road. Whether that is a slip road. We're saying if you're visited by taxi, this is why, because it's. But I think this is going to lead to a wider discussion with Tony, with Adam.
Yeah.
And perhaps even with the
Yeah,
students.
do you know what? That's a really good idea because it's a you can get a parked car on one side, you'll easily get the coaches, won't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could
Well,
possibly
they
be. Yeah, that's a
they
good
often
call, that.
have lorries parked down there waiting to go up
I
to
think
Tesco's.
I've noticed all match days recently, they've had the barrier down into Tesco.
Yes.
So you can't use it. So you can actually come right down and turn around at the bottom
Yeah.
Yeah.
and pick up there. So you send people head for that corner rather than
Yeah.
that. But I think that might come out of the discussions. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good.
I
Yeah, that's a
also
good call.
noticed last matches is people actually parking the cars on that service road.
Are they?
And
Oh,
leaving them there for the match, yeah.
it's a double yellow line,
Yeah.
isn't it? So,
That might
so
be
unless they got blue
At
badges.
the further back, yeah, down by the gates for John Pye, yeah, because that's
Just-
where I parked for 3 years because
No,
of no badge.
I'll
But
say
not-
now within 100 metres of Sheffield Road.
Oh no, I've not seen
Last couple of
parked
games.
Oh, right,
cars.
okay.
You know, you could see, you know, with stated windows and that, with it being cold,
Yeah,
they've been left a long while.
Well, I know periodically they've been and checked on Stan Road and Stan Road Park. The council have about ticketing people who shouldn't be, who are parking incorrectly.
Yeah.
So it might be something like that might happen again, I guess.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're on commission. And Carl has sort of said, and it's linked in with what we've just been talking about, that's why I've linked them all together. Can I ask why it was suddenly deemed necessary to close off the exit from the car park behind the North Stand? Well, it always should be closed off, Carl. A number of vehicles had already exited and the crowd had dispersed. We were told by the stewards that decisions had been made by the safety officer. Well, that's absolutely right. Surely it's common sense that if this exit remained available, then it would ease congestion at the main entrance. Well, then it depends if people who go up it are turning right or left, because if they're trying to turn right, it won't necessarily. But anyway, Pete, yes, you answered that.
I responded because it came to me personally as well as to.
And Pete's response was the entrance exit on the slip road is open pre-match when a one-way system of drop-off is in place. Post-match car park is locked down until spectators have left the footprint of the stadium. This footprint includes the areas around the slip road. All cars can then exit by the main entrance direct to Sheffield Road. Sometimes coaches use the slip road, but cars should not. To have two options for egress would mean too much movement of vehicles as people jockey to that position. Yeah, when you've only got one exit, everybody goes in the same direction.
Yeah,
I know it's nothing to do with this, but it's a similar problem. I worked at a school in Alfreton some years ago, and in the business side of the school, and we had a bus park. And there were probably about 6 or 7 buses came in there specifically to pick up school kids. People parked the cars in there and kids walked across it. And I just sort of said, well, we're not having that, it's a bus park. We're not having any cars in there, and we're not having any pedestrians in there, it's for buses. And of course, you get moan, but nobody ever got knocked down and nobody got injured after we banned cars and that. And it is, cars and people don't mix. And unfortunately, you can't always deal with idiots. But I think the forum's urging. Are we not urging? Perhaps we need to get a 2 strikes and you're out type of thing on car parkers. I think.
Definitely feel that's right.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, and I'm all for a clear announcement, but a really simple thing to do, we have the attendants, as a car comes in to park on a match day, just have a piece of A4 paper or even A5 paper, and we reaffirm your instructions. You are not going to be permitted to leave until X, and give everybody one on the way in for the next game, or the game after, whichever one we can. And it really hammers it home, because people will make excuses. Oh, I didn't hear that, it was noisy where I was, I didn't hear the announcement. But if you give a driver a piece of paper, he can't say he's not had it.
It's on the
I
pass
realise
they put in there on their dashboard.
Yeah.
It's on there, and if they're a casual one, they've seen it for the first time. So I mean,
But you might not read your pass, but you'll read a piece of paper that somebody gets to you.
Just a reaffirmation of the rule.
On Monday, I noticed they got cones out at the south stand end. They got a row of cones across the car park.
because we see things, vans there. I think they
On the
sort
south
of they. Well,
From the
it was
corner,
from
the exit of the
from
south
where
stand.
the Apple thing is. It was blocked off. You couldn't come round the back at all
That's right.
from that side.
Only for cars. You can walk through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 coals.
I don't,
I've never seen that before, and I
No.
like that way every time, you know.
I mean, I assumed that was because that there
Well,
was
we're going to get
only-
more TNTs in the back end of the season, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, that well, I hope we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if they want to be at the main places, don't get later on down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, the points to make really are, as Adam said, have a good look at it, because, it's a very different problem now to what it was not very many years ago.
Yeah.
Look at X amount of strikes in, you're out. Look at possibly leafleting. Look at possibly having that pickup point down there. And there's some good points raised there. Has anybody said anything about it on the online? Any comments about online? Mark?
Just about why can't the back bollards be used for cars as they've been down at points?
So the same question.
It seems to ease the exit out of the car park.
Yes.
So.
Well, I
was going
get that
mad.
with vehicles moving in two directions. That's a nightmare. In a small car park, it's a nightmare. It's much worse than being able. And how long they held up? 10 minutes.
It's an hour sometimes. It's six. There's been
An hour?
There was a couple of matches just before Christmas.
Oh, there was
in
one
December.
there was one was a breakdown.
It was Monday. It was 6 o'clock because, like I say, I had to come all the way round to get in, which is
You're one of the
quite
problems
difficult.
coming in, are you? Yeah.
But I wait until the last minute to come back in. But it's very often 1:45.
Yeah, the real bad one before
6.
Christmas was that there was a car broken down around the corner, wasn't there? And that just stopped all the traffic. It was created.
it's not. When you're looking at when cars are still leaving, cars will have been leaving for 20 minutes, but certainly 40 minutes after, say, 3 o'clock, 5:40.
Yeah.
You can't just ride out.
If a taxi comes in, then say a taxi comes in before 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you can drive in.
Yeah.
But when he's picked somebody up, he obviously can't drive out, can he? Because there's a 20-minute.
Yeah.
And you can't. What you'll find is that, in theory, they won't let a taxi in to pick up. So if a sort of taxi comes, I don't know if it came.
Why is there an issue about that?
Well, it's only if you've got an idiot to the drive.
Oh, right.
I think it's only if you've got an idiot to the drive. But just well, that's why I've got to come in, and that's why I've organised the pickup. I'm coming in. So if you've got somebody who refuses to yield, you've blocked your second route out, haven't you?
Yeah.
And also, I set up visits for people who are disabled that need a taxi both ways. And really, you're saying to them, make sure your taxi doesn't come until 45 minutes after. And they probably accept that, particularly if they're in the lounge or whatever. Because, particularly if they've got to come close to pick up a wheelchair, they're not going to get in. And when you're arranging it, that's the sort of thing you have to do, because that's the.
I really think that pickup down the slip road is a great idea. Have a pickup, make that an official pickup zone or whatever.
We'll have somewhere else.
Yes.
Near the Apple, that's got traffic. That's probably chocker anyway.
As we just said earlier, if you pull into Tesco's car park down this side here, there's a path goes through here from the football.
But you can't get out of Tesco's for about half an hour as well. So that probably doesn't help for taxi pickup.
Do we know how many people using their £10 app or whatever it is? Do we know?
I used to use £3. I don't use £10.
Yeah.
I don't use it. Well, I've got an electric car, and I used to very handy to go and get charged whilst I came to the match. But I don't do it anymore because
we might keep it for £2.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Well, Sylvia's ticket on Saturday is £5 and the car parking's £12.
Yeah.
And it's not even at the ground. You've got to get a shuttle bus.
Tesco, it cost me more than my season ticket.
Yeah.
For the game. With it.
So some good discussion there. Very, very valid point. But it's clear that Monday was a big catalyst. We've had a few car parks.
I think one of the things with Monday, obviously, there was no public transport, so
correct.
Everybody was in vehicles.
Yeah, we have had that
so
crowd before, haven't we? But
so
the public transport,
there's only limited places where people
It's to be the Sunday service, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There was no service.
no service
No,
at all.
no,
No.
no service on New Year's Day.
You know.
No New Year's Day service. I used to walk it back in New Year's Day. back in the day.
Unless you looked at Stagecoach's
No
app and it told you that it was a Sunday service.
There you go.
Oh, did it? But it wasn't.
Yeah.
I believe
But if you look at Ully's and it says Sunday service, well, they never run anyway.
Well,
Monday to
They
Friday.
said they were running the
Sure about
service
that.
on New Year's Day, but when
Common
they did,
Yeah.
Can I raise a point which is sort of related, but it's to do really with possibly on Saturday. With all, with 10 or 12 coaches going to
10 from here.
Therefore,
Oh,
the
the 10 from
question,
here.
therefore, the question is: will people be allowed to park in the car park, or as on the Wembley occasion, which I think was a discussion we had in June?
Yes.
All parking was banned.
We're saying that parking is limited. But with 10, it shouldn't be an issue. They're going to park around the road like they did for
So that's 500 people. So if you come in twos, that's 250 cars max, isn't it?
yeah. So you ought to be on.
So you could,
But we don't want somebody turning up at 5 to 11 and
And
wondering why they're struggling to find a car parking space. So effectively, I think if you're here half an hour before they leave, you ought to be all right.
Yeah, right.
But we're not going to commit that you've got a space.
Yeah.
But we're not going to say.
would it be worth, Nick, putting a notice out that if parking is allowed at the stadium with a True Blue ticket, you don't want to say for anybody, with a True Blue ticket, but after 10:30, this may not be possible.
Yeah, I think we
Something like that.
Yeah, I think we yes.
Well, and related to that, the problem we had after Wembley was when all the coaches were arriving back, there were people coming in to pick up people from the coaches. And I remember I said,
Yes.
with the coach we were on was about 10 minutes standing in Sheffield Road trying to get into the car.
Yeah.
Whereas other coaches sometimes had gone past it and dropped off. So the problem again would arise if there's if there was no parking, that people trying to get in when the coaches are due back, and that was a major problem after the Wembley.
I mean, in reality, I think what we should do, and this is just my view, and it might not be for you, is use that same slip road. So as they come in to drop off, you go round and out that way. Because I remember from the Wembley one, there were coaches trying to leave the car park as others were coming in, and that just didn't work, along with all the cars. So it might become a one-way system again.
Yeah.
But that probably
Will there be stewards on the estimated time of arrival back or not?
It's whether the stewards on the coaches do it, but the stewards on the coaches, some old people like me who aren't experienced stewards, so I was like to get run over as anybody in that. But it's something we may. I mean, it only really takes one or two, and so we'll look at it tomorrow and see what we can call with the plan.
Yeah, good point. I do think somebody actually might have put that in. I'm sure I've seen it. I must have just missed it about on the return. But yeah, it was an issue post Wembley, wasn't it? So, and how many coaches left from here on that day?
22, I think.
22.
Yeah, so it was a bigger issue.
Yeah, but and there were so it was only the pickup because everyone was being, or a lot of people were being picked up then. Whereas this time there'll be a lot of people be able to park, so it won't quite be the same. But
Maybe it's just the cars
point.
if that's open.
Yeah. Okay. Any points on there before we start moving on away from car parks?
Not about car parks.
Well,
I've got a couple of questions.
Then, because we might have some of those here, so we'll get the opportunity. Of the...
Is there any plans for a concert on pitch at the end of the season, or a play on the pitch for fans? And another one, where are we with the container bar?
Well, sadly, at the last committee meeting, which I've been very remiss in not had a chance to do the notes yet, there is a planning issue on that that's held up the container bar, not the concert plans. There is there were objections about something or other. It's in the public domain, but I've just forgotten what it was. There were some issues, so it's not gone all through the planning route yet. So that's the issue with with that. I've forgotten what it was.
I can't remember.
No, we did
They
talk
were
about.
surprised by the objection, I think.
Yeah, well, one
Yes.
of the businesses across the road, wasn't
I can't remember. I mean, we talked. We openly talked about it.
it?
Yeah,
Just objecting.
It was expected that the decision would have been issued on the day of the last meeting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
What's transpired, I really don't know. I was
Well, John's our resident planning man, so he should know. Yeah, I might have the notes in here, but anyway, it's a planning issue.
Yeah.
It's a planning issue, sadly. Oh, I know what it is. It's the anti-terrorism thing, wasn't it?
I've heard that since, but I didn't think it was
Oh, right, okay. I've definitely heard that.
I've heard that since, but I didn't know how
Yeah.
public that bit was. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, but anything's a target potential.
Yes,
It's,
absolutely right. Yeah,
it's just,
yeah. So, and that might be just having plans drawn up. you
Yeah.
know. That's just to stop. I watched the Hitman's Bodyguard the other day, and of course they had a great big lorry going into the to the Hague, to the court of the Hague sort of thing, and that got through. Okay. It wasn't. Concert plans. Not sure. I don't think it's been ruled out, but I don't think there's anything for this year.
I think there's been attempts to get something sorted, whether it's totally out of question now. We assume that most of your big names will be flogging it now.
Yeah.
But I know that it's been something that has been we wanted to do, but effective, really you need the right partner because you don't want to take the risk yourself.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things. The very first John concert,
Yeah.
here was you get a fee and then take some of your concourse, your concourse money,
Yeah.
and then subsequently was the club took the risk and it didn't go quite so well. And funnily enough, I was at a meeting at Derbyshire County Cricket Club the other day, and I asked, that was a forum similar to this, and I asked about concerts there because this year or last year now. We went to see the Who, and I sort of said, "Are there any concerts planned for this year?" Which the guy in charge of that sort of thing sort of put his eyes up in the top of his eye sockets, because Derby City Council have organised a festival at Markeaton Park. So that's taking up a lot of the.
Big one,
it's a big one at Markeaton Park. But it was interesting to see that Derbyshire County Cricket Club take the no risk route. They just want the 60 grand or 70 grand or whatever without any risk.
Because the prices, I can remember back to a meeting, annual general meeting here, it was brought up, that, and the prices that were revealed then had asked people. They tried to get Rod Stewart, it was £1 million.
Yeah.
Michael Bublé was £1.25 million.
Yes.
And that,
Whereas the proper promoters will have got to deal with them because they'll find them 15 concerts.
Yeah.
So whereas if it's something just out of the ordinary, and it's some Johnny come lately wants to do it, they'll charge you top dollar. And so the answer to that is probably not this year, but we're back on track to try and make it.
The real question about play on the pitch is, I don't know, because a lot of that will come down to when the season finishes, and we're hoping we finish in April.
Well, no, it's May for the cup final.
Oh yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah, but when's the semi? The semi's at Wembley, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And it's what the schedule is. If there is any form of a concert or that will come into it, but it would be nice to be able to have some community events on the pitch, as well as if we can do anything commercial. I think we'll be looking at that when we've got a better idea about the timings.
I mean, there is something going off. I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything about it or not. Not concert based, but on the pitch in May time.
In terms of football,
yes,
yes. Yeah. I don't know how public that is either. But,
no, neither do I.
But there may well be some form of a tournament there.
With people that aren't really all that quick at running.
Yeah.
And I think that might be May.
Yes, yeah.
Concerts would be June, wouldn't it? So,
Yeah.
And what I don't know, and I ought to know this because I'm a sad enough stato to normally look. I'm not sure when the FL season starts. I think that might start in advance of the National League season, so the gap will be quite small. I might be wrong there, but obviously that's something. It didn't start on the same day last year, did it? I think.
Yeah, because Notts County had very, very little time
Yes.
to prepare. didn't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. Okay.
That's all right.
Any more? On
Yeah,
that?
we've just got one final point on the car parking. It's worse, in my opinion, when cars try to force their way through at the back of the south stand to try and overtake people from
just
the
to-
south
yeah,
stand.
yeah.
So
Just to get to the exit gate a bit quicker,
Yeah.
even though they're not going out.
yeah, they just try and, because there's the walkway, there's quite a big, and people try and walk along that.
I've just suddenly thought that the disagreement between you and Adam, Marcia, I've just suddenly thought what it could potentially have been. Because I saw a coachload of stewards arriving for the Solihull match, so it might have been the stewards'
maybe
coach.
it's Stewart's coach. Well, they're
Yes.
normally in minibus. Or
Yeah,
two,
but it was a proper
maybe it's
53-seater
coach.
type of coach.
They say I want to provide the stewards
Yeah.
now. Do bring a coach.
Yeah, so it was a full-size
right,
coach.
fair
So it could have been that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Just, yeah.
£1 million C Rod Stewart, he should be doing it for free, seeing how much exposure one of his previous hits gets.
Well, Elton might come after his retirement if we beat him on Saturday. So other non-car park correspondence that we've received, although the first sentence has got Solihull in it again. I'm sure you will have followed the Bob's Board debate about away ticket distribution, but I would like to ask about Solihull, who sent this in, has said, we all know you've got to be quick off the mark, to be sure of getting tickets for away games, and given past issues with Solihull availability as well, the launch of tickets for this game is always going to need a quick application. And John said, as I would need an 80-mile round trip to visit the club in person. I don't think we sold club tickets in person for Solihull, did we? I'm not sure if we did. Was it all online?
No, we did do it in person.
You did do it in person, okay. So for Solihull, a 9 a.m. start online was essential, blah, blah, blah. So he's commenting about the issue about the under-12s price that changed. Commenting about the glitch in the system that allowed non-season ticket holders to get in the queue. I think the number was very small, Pete, on that, wasn't it?
I think what there was we did sell face-to-face and we sold online. We do the face-to-face for two reasons. One is there are some people who turn up at the shop at 9 o'clock who don't do the internet. There's fewer and fewer of those people, but there are still some that will do that, and we don't want to, some of those may well be season tickets for 60 years. We're not going to not deal with those people. We also usually hold a few tickets back for people who are travelling. So if somebody who's on every single, is a season ticket holder on every single True Blue bus for the whole season, and turns out he's ill at 9 o'clock on a Monday, they might get some preferential treatment. But there's only a handful of those. But we also don't want to send empty buses. So there's a bit of, we want to make sure that buses have 40 people on them, because at 40 people we break even. So we won't want to have people who go into every single away match and suddenly can't get a ticket and we've got an empty bus.
Has anybody got a problem with that?
No,
that's still. And it's small numbers. It normally turns out to be 3 or 4 people.
Right. Okay.
Because they normally get that. Those people are used to getting their tickets.
It's called loyalty.
Yeah. We also make certain we hold enough back for people with disabilities who have personal assistants, carers, because they can't be bought online. That's something we've been trying to work on, and it might be that going forward we can find a way of doing it for season ticket holders because
it worked.
Yeah.
For Portsmouth, no, Leighton Orient, it worked for me. I could do it online. I managed it, no problem.
But we don't know why it worked because we.
Magic in his fingers, Marcia.
It didn't work at Portsmouth, but it did work for Leighton Orient.
But you can't do it, and if you're just selling CD holders, so you can probably do that.
And just to put into perspective about people with disabilities who come here, when you were talking with Watford, they were just amazed how many people with disabilities come here. It's because we've got the facilities.
Yeah.
People can come. you know, if you've only got 10 wheelchair spaces, you can only have 10 people with wheelchairs, right? So people don't bother.
They said we'll send you 5 spaces for disabled people that are wheelchair friendly, half a mile from the ground. But, you know, and I said that might not be enough, and they said, well, how many wheelchair users have you got? I said, well, it might be 50. I don't, you know, it's that kind of numbers.
Yeah.
What do you mean you got 50? You know,
Yeah.
But then they did laugh when we said we expect 5,000 to go to this match. But you know,
Yeah.
but the other one with that particular those particular tickets was the free tickets of 12-year-olds, 12 numbers. We put clearly on the ticketing site that they actually done face to face or on the telephone. You couldn't buy them online because if you've got 4 season ticket holders in your group, in theory you could say, I want 4 under 12 tickets.
Yes.
Because you can buy a ticket as long as you've got 4. You don't have to. So if you've got an adult and 2 children, and the kids aren't going to go to Watford, you can buy 3 adult season tickets. That's the way it's set up. So we didn't want everybody to be able to look. Every ticket we sold for under 12.
Yeah.
Sorry, Solihull. And it is Solihull's money. It's not our money. The issue came was that 1 or 2. Well, there was an issue first that was it under 18 tickets or what they were mispriced. It was a typo. It's supposed to be 12 and it went in at 17. Spotted fairly early on, but there were at least coming close to 100 sales before that all, and the easiest way to do them was give them a £5 in cash because it'd be prohibitive to do it by a banking system. And when we started doing that, you got people walking in and saying, well, actually, you owe me 17 because I bought that ticket and my kid's 11. I said, well, why did you buy it? Because it wouldn't allow me not to buy a free one online. I said, look at the instructions.
Yes.
And I think some of those people just told, look, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was quite clear what it said.
Yeah.
You've chosen to buy a ticket. What you're supposed to do, it isn't on. It wasn't thinking, well, we're making 12 quid a time on this. We're not. The money goes to Solihull. But I suspect there were some that were told, you know, particularly if they came after we'd done the reconciliation and we've already told Solihull what money they're getting, and then suddenly say, sorry, after the people turned up and want the 12 quid back.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, so the specific questions that John
Yeah.
raised the point. Who decided that those not phoning for a ticket should be effectively fined £12? His words. So that was a board decision,
it was a logistical decision.
a discussion amongst the ticketing that the decision was made. If you want a free ticket, you've got to come and get it.
Yeah. Oh, phone call.
Phone call.
And we held tickets back to cover it.
Oh yeah. So how is not phoning for a ticket? Yeah. So.
And that's one of the reasons why we had tickets we released later. We did 2 lots of 50, I think. Is because we hadn't had the take up of those tickets.
Yes.
So later we could release the tickets.
Yeah.
So we actually helped. We were sat for several days at least on those tickets saying phone us up if you've got 12 euro.
And his question 2 is who's benefited, you've half answered it, who's benefited financially from keeping the cash overpaid for these tickets, Chesterfield or Solihull? Well, if it wasn't highlighted until the reconciliation, Solihull are the beneficiaries of that. If it was highlighted before people got their money back.
Yes. I mean,
or the £5 money back. We didn't give the £12 money back.
Certainly, I know of some who got the whole £17 back.
Yeah.
I think others may have taken a stronger line because we'd actually made it perfectly clear. And it's, occasionally I get somebody who's a family with disabilities who almost panics. Oh, I can't get through on the phone. I'm buying 2 tickets at adult rate, and then they come on later and say I couldn't get through. And I said, well, don't do it in future because we are holding some tickets back just for you.
So pre-reconciliation, if somebody said it, it'll have been addressed. And then his final question was how much in total have been kept by the beneficiary of his decision? Well, I don't know. It's an unknown amount because everybody who asked for it properly before reconciliation were recompensed.
And Solihull got the rest of it.
Solihull got the rest of it,
No, it's not in our interest to be sending money to rivals, but that's
we're going to do it right, haven't you? But what was who went to Solihull? Were there lots of under 12s there? Because I didn't see, from my position, it was mainly adult audience.
Yes. What was interesting with tickets, I purchased 2 tickets for myself as a pensioner and my friend who
Are you a pensionised? You don't look that old.
Oh, thank you very much. And there was nothing on the tickets to say
Yes.
concession or adult. So if everybody had bought a concession ticket, whatever the rate was, solely all wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
The tickets all said free.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And we had people coming back to us saying, "Why have you charged me when the ticket says free on it?"
Yeah.
But it was just we got effectively a lot of print-owned tickets, and they're all, apart from the barcode, the QR code, were identical tickets, just said free. And you know,
Funny thing to do.
It is a funny thing to do.
yeah.
Yes.
With the Watford tickets, you may have seen they've got little boxes and we're supposed to tick them. They've not always been ticked because we've had a lot to do, but in generally we have. But then when people have brought them back saying, I paid adult price for this, you ticked under 12 or whatever, all we've done is tick the other box and cross that one. So.
I mean, nobody, I don't think, has specifically said anything about the Watford tickets. No, via Forum Act, you know, there's been lots of discussion on, but as we're saying, I'll reinforce now, you know, as a forum, and as somebody who gathers most of this, I'm not going to look at every social media thing. If you post on social media,
That's what I say.
the chances are it won't get picked up.
Please,
You've got to do Forum Act,
email it,
Chesterfield-FC.co.uk.
we can't look at everything. We can't pick everything up.
And if you pick some up and then miss some next time, you picked up that time.
Yeah.
So it is an urge, and then there's a trail to it as well.
That's it. There's
And if we get an email that's, as has happened here, that's directed to me and Forum,
Yeah.
I will answer it because it's come to me.
Yeah.
Copy Forum into it.
Yeah.
So you see that I've answered it. Right?
Yeah.
That's.
how about events at?
Events that. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
That's the link from
that's
the
the one that
hospitality
where you book
website.
to see Cher.
No, well, that's the hospitality link.
Yeah.
I thought it was hospitality.
Yeah, it is hospitality. Yeah.
Oh well, that's not the
Yeah,
link that it
events.
has on.
All right.
Because
I'll look at that,
I emailed that and you in December about hospitality, and I've not had a reply. So.
I don't know. We're pretty good at that.
Because I'm being awkward.
Just on that, is there a? And I don't give anybody any ideas. I should be saying this after the meeting when it's finished. I don't give people any ideas. So when there is that face-to-face and online for limited tickets like Solihull, if somebody's ordered legitimate tickets online at 9 o'clock, but somebody from the same group has also gone in with the same 4 people to buy on over the counter, is there a check?
Yeah, because they're sold against. If we're doing season ticket holders only, they're sold against names.
Yes.
So
Even if it's tickets, physical tickets that have been provided by the away team, as physical tickets.
Yes, I mean,
Right.
every one of the Watford ones initially, you know, all of them effectively have been done to a name. Now, occasionally, basically, if somebody in one of the lounges comes in who's got a table of 10, and has a table of 10 every single one, we'll do them 10 like that. But generally, if somebody comes in and says, I want mine and my mate's tickets, give us their names, and we basically one ticket is sold against each individual. If they try and do it online, they can't. If they've already done it online, we'll go and say, Bert Blogg's ticket's already been purchased. And occasionally, because you've got people in groups, Bert Blogs won't know his ticket's been bought because one of his little mates has bought it. I've accidentally always gone, oh, hang on a minute, I could get an extra one there. And then we have to, deal with that. But no, effectively,
It's the
same ticketing system, whether they got it or we got it.
Yeah, so there's checks and all right. Okay, that's good because it's sadly, but not sadly, going to be more of a problem for the rest of the season, isn't it? So we don't want it to be, especially when we're going to win the league at Oldham. And with regard to Watford, I think the club, my opinion, missed a little bit of a trick saying, because I know we knew, saying there were only going to be 3,500 tickets and that was the maximum that we get. But then other organisations, I'll not name names, put out that, the end holds 5,900 people. And so everything's, that's it, no problem with tickets. And then all of a sudden, there's only 3,500. So the people who were waiting until they were on general sale so they could all sit together maybe potentially missed out. But, you can possibly get 5,000 plus in there, but only if half of it's away and half of it's at home. and because
Can't even get
you,
that.
you can't get that many in when it's all from one club because the concourses don't meet the regulations for that many people. When it's half home, they go down the side. They go to a different.
The problem with this, and it's quite often we have issues around communication because you can actually come out and say something and it turns out not to be true.
Yes.
And we suggested we could get 5,000 fans,
yes.
which we might have done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying laughed at that, but were surprised, let's say, and said, well, we're required to give you 3,500. That's what we're going to send you.
Yeah.
We said, will there be any more? And they said, no, there won't. And we quite quickly started asking them, and I don't know whether the police had any role in it. I don't know for certain, but we kept saying, look, these have gone, or they're effectively gone. They'll be gone in a couple of days. Any chance of any more? And it might be that what they did was actually go and check all their regulations and went to an nth degree and actually said, actually, we can find these, but we ended up with some more. So if we'd have gone 3,500, and then suddenly they'd found another 1,000, and all these season ticket holders who wanted to wait, so they said, well, I could have got one from my mate, we've been sat together.
Yeah.
They're going, well, why did you put that out?
Yeah.
And similarly with Solihull, originally I think Solihull sent us 700.
Yeah.
And we begged them for some more. We said they'll go in no time at all. And relatively quickly, they found us another 400.
Yeah, 1,100 something.
But if we'd have put out 700,
yeah,
it actually might turn out to be 1,100. And that happened relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And but we never put out it was 700, but people seemed to find out that.
Yeah.
And a lot assumed right up until, kick-off time that there only going to be 700 supply rights.
Well, of course, one of the things with social media these days, you get the Vanarama League or various people saying how many away fans there's been. They'll say, "Oh, Oldham got 1,100. How come we've only got 700?" How come, But so people are savvy.
Yeah.
People soon find out. But and it says in all the books, all the that stand holds 5,900 people, but it doesn't. No, not in the mix.
It hasn't for years. I think they've actually moved some segregation that is normally there, possibly to help us a little bit.
Well, there's a fair few ticket exchanges going off at the moment. I did see somebody who sort of said, "No, I've not got a ticket now, but I'd booked my flight before they went on sale." I don't know where, I can't remember where they were flying in from. That's unlucky. Was it Hong Kong?
Well, he was on.
That's I hope he's not just coming for that game. That's bad luck in it. Yeah. So okay. This I think we might have mentioned this before. And I think we might have mentioned it when Marcia wasn't here and we weren't able to broadcast out. So I'll mention it again. And it's from somebody who's sort of been debated the subject of winning the Anglo-Scottish Cup with like-minded fans. And there seems to be a shared opinion that you should put a single star above our badge to commemorate this great occasion. I think we've talked about it. I think we did talk about it on that one where we could broadcast, I'm not sure. And considering the team. Now, I think the Football League particularly are fussy about when you do sort of funny things. I think they only let championships on there. When Jeff Hall sponsored the corner flags, some years ago, I was having a conversation with the league's legal fella, what's his name, Craig or Chris or whatever. Yeah, and he said, "Oh, you're not allowed to sponsor corner flags." He says, "I'll pretend I've never heard that." And so there are weird and wonderful things in the EFL. I'm not quite sure what the rules in the National League are. We've never figured that out.
That's been this thing around Man City winning the World Club Championship, whereas the past two winners, which I assume were Liverpool and Chelsea, weren't allowed to put that on their shirt that season. They could put it on for a couple of matches, then take it off. But they've now decided that Man City can have it on for the rest of the season. And they've actually moved where they are. But I think there are these restrictions. I don't think that West Ham now have two stars on there because they now won two European competitions and whatever it is. Instead of one. Whereas the Anglo-Scottish Cup was a European competition, but I don't know of any others that actually have stars representing
Put a star on ours, it'll look like it's on top of the
If you won the Watney Cup, you put a pint of beer. But one of the things that with what we've done with the shirts this year, and of course the 50th anniversary came during COVID of the Anglo-Scottish Cup, didn't it? just how it was. So yeah, we would have probably had some.
40 years.
But when it comes to 50, it'll be 40 years. 40 years, yeah. So, but as we've had the bespoke shirts, it could be something like, I know 45 years is a weird thing. It's our 45th wedding anniversary. This year, my wife tells me it's a sapphire wedding anniversary. She keeps reminding.
That's the thing when she's telling you.
Yeah, that's the one. For something like that, it could be considered to have, if you do a bespoke shirt, have a bespoke shirt with a shadow of the Anglo-Scottish couple or something like that.
You're taking Sapphire Gardens, are you?
Yeah. It's restrictions on your badge and everything like that. And of course, not related to that at all. But the new regulator, one of the things that they said they're going to do is make it that they have to approve any badge changes, nickname changes, colour changes, and all sorts of things. Anyway, East Stand entrance pops up again. Well, you East Standers, how's it been lately? Before we read the note,
been all right. It's busy, but it's you just know it's going to be busy.
You've got to. I mean, I've got to a stage now where I'm getting in for 2:00. I know people who come later, and they're queuing right round back at South Stand, and that. And then there was an issue a couple of matches ago. We're not all turnstiles operating, but
two of them didn't open on time, but were open.
That was quickly rectified, and certainly last.
Which match was that, Pete? Can you remember?
I think it might have been Aldershot one.
It was, yeah. But Solihull-wise, stewards were letting season ticket holders in through gates when it got bad. Whether they should have done that, I don't know.
I think the Solihull one, I walk across and go in the South Stand, so I can see the queue anyway. And it was pretty good for Solihull, but it was the one before that. Was that the old shop?
Aldershot before that. 2:00
right round.
Because of that issue, and when that was cured, they went back down to normal. But it meant that people were queuing up an hour before kick-off, and it was just the fact that there was this issue.
Right through our queue.
I know. But that was a one-off technical thing.
Yeah.
We think it's been better, but it is because they are clicking some in, which isn't ideal. But we are looking again at handheld readers, so that we can effectively turn that door into.
And if it's season ticket holders, you know that it's.
You don't need to. You could do it with a mobile phone.
Yeah, without.
They did. That's what they were scanning the mobile phones to Solihull.
Yes, but that's because Solihull's set up that way. Yeah. Fortress doesn't allow that. Fortress needs a handheld. We did used to have one. The issue is, for some reason, we're looking at this, they're not 5G, they are Wi-Fi only. So you've got to put Wi-Fi in that reads. But we are looking at it. We do know the prices involved, and we do have plans around that.
And this correspondent, he's positive about it. It's great to see people coming, but they've suggested that. You tell me, but it doesn't seem feasible to me. But what do I know? You see, I see the few paper tickets are now being ushered in through the exit gates, which helps a little. But is it not possible to allow entrance through the South Stand turnstiles? I don't think they work, do they? I think that's programmed. I know because Sylvia sits in the wheelchair section, her season ticket can't be read by the entrance on the main entrance because it's not in that block. So I think. Again, that's things
like that we have played with, but essentially you certainly can't do it in a different stand. You can probably have some flexibility there because we've worked on that.
Anyway.
Well, the season ticket holders is a step forward, isn't it? Because half the crowd is season.
Although somebody said that the season ticket holders weren't allowed through the exit doors for the last two games. It was only paper tickets that were allowed.
I didn't know they differentiated between them because effectively.
I'm assuming the paper tickets. It was. I mean, your season ticket. you could have had that last year and might not have a season ticket this year, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think.
But
yeah.
the paper tickets has got the actual date
and
and
the game on.
the game on.
It's
So
very interesting to see what does cause a queue sometimes, and nothing to do with the club's fault whatsoever. You get people come and they have a paper ticket and they've printed them off, and the barcode is not kidding, it's 2 inches square because it can't be read. And then they're messing around and trying to see holding the queue up, and they're then scanning the barcode and taking a photograph of it
And
on
putting that
mobile
on,
phone to do it that way around.
Yeah.
And, you know, you want to
Put it on top.
Yeah. Well, we did do a video about that, didn't we? A few games
But
ago.
one pleasing thing I'll say, East Stand wise, is that they finally moved the netting
Well, you're reading my mind.
off E3 and moved it over to
E2.
E2.
Now, my guess with that, and Pete might know, my guess was that because there are only 100 tickets or so left, it might have been that you could have got, if walk-ins had come and paid that, you got.
You're probably right. But,
that was my thought because they moved the net in at 1 o'clock.
oh, right.
They didn't move it on Friday
I wasn't in that
or the
building.
day before the game. It was they moved it at 1 o'clock. So my thoughts were, they've got an extra 200 potential seats
Well,
there.
For most of the way followings, it needs to be where it is now anyway.
There's 200 more people coming through the queue.
We did have that as a. We could have sold those. We didn't.
Yeah, because they weren't.
We booked, and it was almost a question of at what point do you start selling those? Is it when you've 100 left, when you've got 50 left, when you've got 20 left? And I think we had about 30 left, and we didn't go for those. The issue for us was putting an extra 10 people into the north stand. It's not an issue. Put an extra 10 or 20 into the east stand, the limited concourse.
Yeah.
It's so we prefer to have them.
Absolutely. It's a fallback position.
That is the fallback position we've got going forward. But they will be the last to sell. We won't put them
until there's literally no others left.
I think that's the way we'll go.
Fair. And I think I would imagine now that the walk up, pay £2 extra at the ticket office on a match day is minimal now, isn't it?
you can buy them all the way up until
You can
kick
buy
off
them
on your
online.
phone, so you don't have to pay the
We've
£2
had no
extra.
queues. You know, you are getting the people that come. It tend to be away fans who are obviously waiting until the day to decide, and a fair number of neutrals or very occasional ones. So you obviously at that point you're not registering people. You effectively you put in but in reality there aren't many who you say are semi-regulars who don't buy reasonably in advance now.
Yes. Well, I suspect, assuming that we go up this season, and then assuming that it's going to be difficult to sell season tickets in the North Stand because you're going to have more teams, hopefully, that not hopefully, that want bigger allocations. I think it's going to make season ticket sales massive next year. I think they're going to be huge.
Because that's the only way you retain 15% of the home capacity as non-season ticket holders.
Is that a rule? Is it in the EFL?
So if we're saying, well, we can't sell in the north, so if there remain 8,000, how many we've got to hold back? It puts a maximum on season tickets potentially, and be interested to see how close to that we get.
There is a question.
Have we got then? Have we got this year?
We're just short of 4,500.
Is that with the half season tickets as well?
We did.
Yeah, that'll be the issue when, of course, they can't get in Gateshead and Altrincham because they weren't part of the deal, but they'll have forgotten.
We effectively did about 300 half-season tickets. That was slightly more than that, but that took us from 4.2 to 4.5.
Brilliant. And associated with that, there is the question somewhere about the filling in the corners or whatever along those lines.
Has it been costed? Has it been costed or something like that?
Yeah, well, I would guess, especially the way that the construction costs have gone up now, that it's to take you about 75 years to get the money back for the relatively few seats.
I mean, just to fill in the two corners at the south end, which would mean removing floodlights and putting them outside the ground.
And you don't fill in the corners. That's not how you expand.
No. The way to extend is build on top of the south or the north stand, isn't it?
That is possible, but prohibitively expensive.
At the moment, yeah.
We're not forced to get these sort of crowds anyway.
No,
In reality, you want to be looking at you're having 4 or 5 steady seasons in Championship.
Making it the hottest. The downside with if it's a hot ticket and you can't get them is you then restrict your kids coming in, because my opinion, the biggest reason we're talking about crowds now is the last 2 or 3 years the trust doing the kids. As I often say to somebody, if you never come to your first match, you never come to a match. If you come to a first match and enjoy it because you've had a 2 for a tenner or whatever offer or it is, and you enjoy it, you come and you pay what's what. Yeah, I would imagine the average age of our through the turnstiles has fallen 20 years in the last 5 years. Must have done, because it was all, last year before COVID, everybody was a flipping concession at the top end, not the bottom end. But now there's kids and families all over.
I'll tell you what, one of the really pleasing things is when people come to buy tickets and they go, "Oh, are you on our system?" "Well, yeah, I will be. I've been a couple of times before. I can't find it." "Well, community have sorted me out." You're not on No, but you're not on our system, but we'll put you on and sell you tickets, and it's working.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
One interesting post on social media, I think it were Oldham, and it said that people should be teaching the kids that football is a spectator sport and not a TV programme.
It was Matlock Town.
Was it Matlock?
Yeah. The little kid looking around the wall, and there was another one where he's sitting on the wall. Brilliant.
Yeah, I thought that were.
I don't think it was a good idea having him sitting on the wall personally, but that's by the by. But yeah, Matlock, it was great, wasn't it? Yeah, I absolutely saw that. And I don't watch football on telly, so I only watch football live. I'm not a telly watcher at all.
Somebody has got a sort of comment with the queues for the East Stand and the cars still coming in at 2:40. I don't know what time, if there's a cut off, and when the queues were all the way around.
Good point.
People were queued across the car park, so it was a bit of a safety issue.
There isn't a lockdown for the car park because you encourage people to arrive in plenty of time, but if somebody's running late and gets there, you're going to end up with a fight on the front of the car park if you don't let somebody in. So as long as people are careful, and you hope, like you do after the match, but after the match, you're in darkness and people are not going in all directions. You hope if it is just a queue that's more manageable, particularly stewards are out in numbers watching the queues as well, whereas after a match, it's...
You're more likely to get later hours on a night match, I think, as a work.
Plus, if you've got somebody arriving late to a match, the biggest majority of your crowd's gone in anyway.
Yes. Yes, because you need to get there early. Otherwise you don't get in. Yeah, good point though. That is a good. But there are more stewards outside before a match, aren't there? Yeah. So this is one we've had in a fashion before. I have a question regarding stewards behind both goals. Is it possible to install fold-down seats to railings, advertising boards? Because now that the bottom rows have been sold, we're experiencing poor view of the pitch. New Year's Day, myself and others, and then they finished that. They must have been disrupted because they never quite finished their email.
But the front rows haven't been sold for recent matches. We didn't sell the north and south for this match because we have had pitch incursions, which means that,
we've had one against Solihull, I seem to remember, on Boxing Day in 2018.
But you don't always notice it, but there have been people on the pitch for several matches, even if it's just a child left to them.
Yes.
It's a tick for a pitch incursion.
Yes.
And we have to take measures to try and restrict that, so we've not been selling those. So in theory, the stewards should be able to sit down for recent matches. Because towards the end of the game, they're going to stand up.
And to be honest, I now, since it was raised last time, when I look at the highlights twice, one to watch the highlights, and one to see if the stewards are standing up. And whilst you can't see every steward every time, there aren't many that do stand up. And I think, if they are blocking your view, I'm sure if somebody goes up to them and asks them nicely, can you just stand somewhere where you don't block my view, they will do. Yeah. So I'm sure they would do that. But yeah, it's a good point. And I do think that there should be some sort of trick chairs, especially when it's wet, provided for them. And if people keep on emailing every month.
There were a couple of stewards on Monday at East Stand that have got plastic stools.
Yeah.
Well, there are some plastic stools. I don't know whether they're provided for them or for the ball, those ball retrievers,
Yeah.
but there are certainly some dotted around.
And if a steward brings his own, nobody's going to say, take it away, are they? Or her. This is the first time we've had this, and we've got some ladies here. They can give us their views. Please, can you bring up the lack of women's toilets? The queue in the West End can be 20 yards long at half time. We need 2 sets. Having said that, there was also a massive queue for the men as well.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Basically, I understand it was designed to be unisex. After a fashion, all right, you get more to a urinal than a cubicle, so it's not going to be a perfect system. But it wasn't designed to think, oh, we're getting 80% blokes at football. It's because we've got all other kinds of events potentially here and concerts, and some of your concerts will be 90% women possibly. So as I understand it, effectively the size of the toilet, look in the West Ham, there's one of each, and they're roughly the same space. But like I say, you can probably get more blokes in there squashed together than you do women's cubicles. But effectively, it's not been designed to, we'll put the odd one in for the women. It has been done as a unisex.
And it will have been done to Green Guide as well, won't
yeah.
it? That's that if it's X per Y number of people, it will be that and possibly a bit more.
No, I remember taking my missus to Lord's. We actually called in when we were going past about 3 o'clock, knowing getting for nothing. Derbyshire were playing there, and she said one of the few venues I've been to where there's beautifully clean women's toilets because consider the women in the place at that point. But yeah. But now out here,
I don't know the old Trafford cricket ground though. They're terrible.
But
The
so I don't think that's an issue, and I think they're mistaken there. But you know,
do you have issues or
Considering some of the away grounds toilets that I've been to,
or Saltergate,
you know, ours, you know, you don't mind a little bit of a queue.
It sounds standard. As soon as half-time whistle goes, you've got a queue a mile long to toilet. I just go for a walk around and then go when everybody else has finished. You know.
Well, to be fair, one thing that we've not had for ages are people saying there's not paper in the toilets or that. We've not had that for a long time.
No.
So that seems to have improved.
Yeah.
I have to gauge how much I have to drink to sit from 1:45 till 5:30 without being able to go anywhere. So, but every now and again, when you get a long pre-recorded interview,
I
it's
think
quite nice.
it's safe to say, Phil, that's an age thing.
I know.
Yeah, most of us.
Try that for another 20 years.
I could just nail it on a 2-minute 30-second advert break. I can just get after the match. I can just get down to the concourse toilets and back during an advert.
all the people you meet, you've been rude today. What's up?
Yeah.
I think we missed about 2 away matches last year, and these toilets are better than anywhere.
Yeah. Some of the away
Well, I
ones.
mean, like you know, Boxing Day at Solihull, Portaloos.
Yeah.
Outside the ground.
Yeah, so you can empty before you come in. But there was one accessible toilet at Solihull. That's in the clubhouse opposite where Sylvia and co was sitting. And then if you want to go during the match, the place is full, so you can't get through anyway.
Yeah.
So it's disgraceful. Disgraceful. But anyway, that's by the by. So again, from a cost point of view, I would imagine putting more women's toilets in isn't high up on the agenda realistically. Much that I understand what the particular correspondent is talking about. And if you go to the toilet, you can't be buying 2 pints because the queue there is massive as well. I'm not attending the meeting, but we were watching on YouTube. Are there any plans to clean down the external appearance of the stadium facades? It's looking tired and unkempt and certainly not befitting of a club that sits at the top of the table. The green wall algae is bringing down the appearance of the facility in West 7. Yeah, that's I can, and it's now entering the fan section of the stand opposite to the exterior wall. If it's a case of volunteers needed, please give me a date and time and I will happily muck in. Ed has been put in contact with Mike. Is it who coordinates the volunteers who look after the ground? Mike Payton, is it? Is it Mike? Mike Payton. I've put had in contact with Mike. So,
But the answer to the question is yes, we have looked at it. It has actually been priced up because volunteers probably it does need specialist equipment
Yes.
to do it.
and health and safety.
yeah. Well, I mentioned the fact that you were, because I think we've had this conversation before, and there's a local company in Chesterfield who work nationwide. That one of the or two of the people who work for them are ex-Chesterfield junior footballers. You probably know. I mean, I'm not going to mention it on here and he'd be very interested in doing it.
But I think we do know roughly what it will cost, and it is something that we want to do.
Yeah.
But obviously, it does cost. And
Yes.
it will be looking at it, but it's yes, it is on our wish list. But
Yeah.
there is a cost, and you don't want to just do one side because it makes it blindingly obvious.
Yes.
In actual fact, I believe, and I've not looked myself, I was told they put an additional window into the hub, which has made one of the storerooms into a teaching area.
All right. Okay.
Because it's actually got daylight into it.
right.
And as a result of that, they've cleaned up behind them. And you go, hang on a minute, you can
Yeah,
see where
you see where the-
that's one of the reasons that we've
Yeah.
been looking at it, because it does make a difference. So,
Yeah.
so it might be on the agenda.
I think the West End facade has been cleaned once before, hasn't it?
I don't know whether
5 or 6 years ago.
I think it was jet wash as
Yeah.
opposed to fully.
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
yeah,
Fully-
I think
One thing that always gets me, and it's only a personal niggle, but I always think the curtains look so damn untidy all the way down the West Stand there. Just wondering how to get them a shake and let them hang properly. They look awful.
and I didn't.
There's a
someone-
Tesco shopping trolley in one of the windows at the moment.
Is it?
We better not get started on about that issue.
But you're right. Someone pointed out to me that several of the curtain hooks had come off, and a lot of them were. So I think that needs addressing as well. Because I've not noticed that, but someone pointed it out to me. Yeah,
My company retrieved 2.5 million shopping trolleys last year.
Yeah.
only half of them from here.
Yeah.
But you don't see so many sun-blessed bread baskets that used to be the thing many years ago, didn't they? That used to be on, That's Life, send you pictures of the weirdest places in sun-blessed bread basket. I've answered this in a way, but I said I'd bring it up, so I will. It's becoming extremely embarrassing reading the comments on Facebook regarding the poor quality of the food in offer at our stadium. There was one Solihull fan particularly said,
Had a brick.
He says it was best venue, but I was served a brick. Yeah. Is there any chance of addressing this pronto and getting new tenders out for next season? Well,
Have we changed vendors?
I don't think so.
No.
Is it still Jackson?
Yes.
But as we've said before, especially with the Solihull game, we've heard before, and we heard from the lady who works in the concourse a few meetings ago, that night matches are always a bit worse because they've been frozen. And so, of course, the Solihull one will have been frozen, so it might not have been
I'm going to say
looked after
Aldershot
as well as it
game.
could be.
stay pipe, hang on, Solihull game. I've got one of them wooden forks and
The wooden fork broke.
no, I thought it was going into. You're really struggling
Yeah.
to break through the crust on the bottom
Yeah.
of the pie.
But I think it's when they've had to be frozen because you've had to wait a little bit. I think that's an issue. But anyway, Paul Stancard is coming up with, I don't know where we are with.
I know there are meetings about the survey part of it, and obviously there's a lot of what he mentioned. Paul's been working on.
Yeah.
So you bring it back to board meetings.
We've had one that, again, I think we've brought up before, and I've not asked it, was would it be possible to invite the Chesterfield representative of the National League Management Committee to a future forum with a view of maybe extinguishing the general feeling of no confidence in said committee? Mick's asked for that, so I don't know if Martin had happily come along or until
I don't know. I mean, the issue I always find with Martin is he seems to have that many things on that he's normally triple booked. But
if
it might be worth.
If you tell him,
hopefully he won't be on it next year.
if you tell him it's a pub quiz, he'll be there.
Oh right, yeah. And there's a photographer.
Yeah,
Tell me there's a photographer.
Those times are coming.
Yeah. I saw him on the railway station a few years ago, and I've not seen him for a while. I said, "Oh, I thought you were dead." He said, "Well, I actually went to the Dodge Times this week." Even in the obituary paper. Martin Thacker is on the trustees committee of the trust. He's also on the National League Management Committee, and he is the leader of North East Derbyshire District Council still, I think, is he?
He's
Whether he still is.
he's
was the mayor,
chairman, which
wasn't
is
he?
Yeah,
the mayor.
the equivalent to the mayor
Yeah,
for
he's
North
the
East
mayor,
Derbyshire.
yeah.
You know, technically it's not.
He was
Yeah.
leader, but he's now
Yeah.
mayor.
And he's also on lots of other.
Yeah.
He gets involved with a lot.
Lots
and lots.
and lots of things.
And Yogi contacted me. He was going to send me an email, but well, it hadn't come by the time I came out. But it was about the lack of merchandise in the shop.
We talked about this on the social media.
Yeah, well, he was going to pull all that together
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But by the time I came out, I've not looked if it's arrived since I've come
And
here.
it's winter and you can't get a scarf.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the shop because I've had days where I've worked in there when stock has come in. The takings of the shop are by a long way records that we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is the shirts. We were made available double what we normally would have, and all the shirts have gone. Effectively, there are a few, but not in the popular sizes now. Before Christmas, a few weeks before Christmas, it might be 4 or 5. They ordered in another block of hats and scarves, and there were concerns among the people ordering that they were ordering 1,000 units, and would that be too many? They went in 3 days.
Wow.
They did manage to get another order in before Christmas, and one member of staff who didn't work Friday and didn't work Monday that week came in on the Tuesday and said, "I thought we were getting an order in." They go, "It's been gone," and that's how quickly they've been going out. So some of the stuff. I was surprised. They for the first time they had these dressing gowns in. All the adult dressing gowns went in a day and a half. I think the children's ones are still there.
Yeah.
So you don't always get it right, But what's come in generally has gone out. There were, I can't remember how many glasses it was.
So just every day you got that, didn't it?
Yeah, and it really, and the fact is, you almost felt, well, we've had an order. Do we put it out on social media? Well, by the time, if somebody sees it a day time and wanders down, they come out, I thought you'd had an order in. Well, and it's just, and part of it is we've not had this kind of demand before.
Yeah.
And it's almost like what do you order? And I think with things like scarves, they've been thinking, well, we've done that style of scarf, what do we do next? I think, well, it doesn't really matter because not everybody's got the scarves and the hats. It's, and I think the last lot came, we didn't know what colours were coming until they arrived because it's what they could do.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff they can turn around in a week. Some of it takes 3 weeks. And it has just been unprecedented.
And new territory. It's new territory.
It is. You've seen the crowds. We're in times of economic hardship for a lot of people. Football crowds haven't gone down. Certainly here they've not gone down. And shop sales don't seem to have been hit. And it's almost like, well, they were worried about how much they were buying in, and then
football,
yeah. So
I know that shirts have an issue because Puma only let us order so often, and so
Puma said
many,
that
don't they?
came to agreement what we could have, and we actually went far above what we've done in the past. But not only have we had good crowds, but it's a damn good shirt,
Plus, of course, you don't want to be stuck with several hundred shirts at the end of the season, and then you're changing shirts the next season either.
I mean, one of the things for remainders, not for thousands of remainders, but for dozens of remainders, of course, there's that many sides in the academy. You can always divert them to the academy if you do get them. But say if you said we've ordered twice as many as we've ever ordered before.
And one of the things this year is calendars. Yeah. We sold out last year. We're throwing them away.
Yeah,
we're doing school and going away. we basically after Christmas giving them away, throwing them away, taking them to schools. This year, 2 weeks before Christmas, they've gone. And
I didn't even see one.
No.
I know that somebody was saying about the kids.
Oh, we put February 29th.
And saying that the issue is that you have to buy it separately, where a lot of clubs sell it as a set.
Oh,
but they were saying
the shirt, short socks.
Yeah, but they were saying 45 quid, and I'm like, but I'm not sure that That's for everything would be a price to do. The 70 quid that they were saying is how much it costs for everything separately is a bit steep, I agree. But they were saying they can't get hold of shorts. They've got socks, they've got a shirt, but they haven't got shorts.
In some, it varies from size to size. We don't particularly know why that's happened, but the smallest size in socks went quite quickly, I believe. But then a lot of the larger children's shorts went as well, so it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But, you assume that somebody's having shorts and have socks as well. But I don't, so and we haven't got the data going back to be able to. It really,
it's going to build it now.
And you say it's the amounts. It's. I've been surprised just covering lunchtimes. I mean, occasionally I've done a whole day in there, but just covering lunchtimes and the number of people that come in and are buying, taking them to Christmas, and they were doing several £100 orders. It's just, it's brilliant, but it is unprecedented.
And the last email I did get, which wasn't on the list I sent out to the committee members, because it came in after I sent that list, was again associated with the concourse offering from Jackie. She sort of said about plastic bottles of beer, which I know we've mentioned before. And she just made an interesting point. As someone who struggles to stand for a long time, the queues are difficult. And she mentions, and I don't know what she means by this. It may be that it's just something I'm not aware of. She says, mentions about a mobile bar. Did we used to have a mobile bar? A mobile bar or something? Is there?
Well,
it's only the Brampton.
Oh, the Brampton
just
Brewery.
Brampton Brewery,
For the
but
handball, that's the only ones.
So that's the only ones I'm
But I know that it might have been the older shot game. It might have been the game before that I decided at 40 minutes to go down and get a hot chocolate, and I got back to my seat at 57 minutes.
That's what you said on the Squire Arts debate.
Yeah. And the thing that got me though was there may have been an issue with the hot water, because they weren't doing the hot water in the things in front of them. They were going to the end, but they were going to the other end to get the drink and then going back to the other end past me to go and put the hot water in to come back to me. And that was really frustrating because it was for every person, and it was only. I know that there isn't the amount of staff, but they used to have runners
but
to go and do that kind of thing. Like
I'm
I
sure
say,
from
it
a
was.
logistics point of view, you could do better than we did.
It was 15. It was 30 odd minutes that I was waiting in the queue, and there were no food left.
No, you can argue all sorts of ways that you go to some place. Hartlepool was one that it was hot drinks, and they haven't got the crowd. Don't get me wrong, but they got hot drinks in one, but ale in another, food in another, and everything. And no people. I could see going out in front of me. I didn't go out at half time, obviously, but I could see people who were back before you knew it, and everything. So what you've got to do is look at those, and I'm not necessarily trial them, but work out. You want a people logistics expert just to have a. I'm sure in our fan base we've got people.
The other really annoying thing is that the TVs didn't have all that chop.
Against Solihull?
No, I don't know. I didn't go down to the concourse then.
Which match was?
I can't remember, but it wasn't our match. It was. It might have been.
Was it the Portsmouth?
Yeah, because on some, if we're not doing the stream, so it might have been a televised one or a FA Cup one.
We do the stream unless it's a TNT match, and we let that run.
Yeah,
which means it's slightly further behind.
Yeah, well,
the one that we couldn't do it, I think, was.
It was an older shot. It would have been
Orient.
Leighton Orient.
Because you can't do a stream in the FA Cup, can you?
No, but for the Orient match,
because it was extended highlights.
We were told that there was no issue with Andy and his camera being on the gantry. When he got there, they said we're full, so we had to move
Yeah, so if you look at the highlights, there are a lot from further down the
and
views with the
that
football
meant
story.
he couldn't plug in to the stream.
Right.
Yeah,
But he
so
didn't
of
know until virtually kick-off.
Yeah. So it
because
was-
we were
was
looking in the lounges going,
Yeah.
why is the stream not on? And the SBK blokes who do the IT were going, can't find it, and we stood over there, not there, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, that's probably it then. But
that
like I
was the
say,
one. And it is unfortunate because, like you say, people are less worried about queuing up for 10 minutes while
Yeah.
we're playing if you can see what's happening.
but the amount of people that were leaving the queue because they weren't getting, you know, there was probably a good few £100 left where I just wanted hot chocolate.
So no stream for the Orient match.
Well, the other
So I
side
think
of the
it's your-
coin is that it's an absolute pain in the backside of people that come in after the start, 3 or 4 at a time. They go out halfway through first half because they need to go to the toilet, then they leave at half time, then they come back later.
Yeah, and that's every stand. Right?
Every stand, every ground.
Thank you very much for coming. So I've got to point the finger at
It's same people every game around.
I don't move. That's the first match this season that I've gone anywhere to get a drink at half time. So it's not me that's going out.
You know the answer, Martin? Thermos flask.
Well, yeah, I've got a new one.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, everybody used to take them at Saltergate, didn't they? Everybody had one of them at Saltergate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You take a Greg sausage roll in as well.
Yeah, they're worried about people throwing things at goal.
No, we're allowed bottles in. We're not allowed tins. Cans.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, not
No cans.
No, it's
But
not that many years ago. There was a Chesterfield supporter prosecuted and fined heavily at Crewe for throwing a meat pie.
Well, I remember at Rotherham where the pies were always very good because Eric Twiggs, who is Pucker Pie's parent company based in Rotherham, and the pies were always absolutely fantastic. We used to get them in the press, and the press box was a little shed, and it was just above where the away dugout was. It was awkward if you had an external mic to get the effects for radio because there was more effing and jeffing there than I've ever heard in any location ever. And somebody chucked a pie at Nicky Law when Nicky Law was our manager. Chucked a pie at him, it missed him, it went onto the pitch, game playing, and he went on, grabbed it, took a bite, and he just went, prefer meat potato or whatever it was. So he went on, got it, picked it up, took a bite out of it, and complained at what sort it was. Yeah, if it chucked that one at Solihull, yeah. Okay, any more on that?
yeah, I had my view blocked by three stewards on the South Stand recently.
All right, okay.
When we asked them to move, they glared at us with body language of "Don't tell me what to do," and it actually made the situation worse.
Well, that shouldn't be occurring, should it? Really?
On the Anglo-Scottish Cup topic, it was mentioned a while ago about decorating the concourses with murals, etc. Could putting what the titles the club has won over the years on the concourse walls be possible?
Yes, it is possible, and we are starting this year to work on looking at ways of financing that.
There's 2 or 3 very good local graffiti artists.
Yeah. We've contacted one of them who's actually not responded back at all, but the most renowned of them all. Yeah. But no, the Heritage Group is sitting down, starting to look at grants, everything along those lines. Yeah. And it won't be imminent that they're done.
Yeah,
but
I know
it's
it's not a big thing, but just brightening those
absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there any plans by the club to have one of the stands named the Ernie Moss stand? I know the stands were sponsored, but it could still be done just on the basis of the Ernie Moss stand sponsored by or whoever.
Well, you never know. Something like that might get in with the heritage type of group. It could be a suggestion. The club's got to accept it or not. Yeah. But yeah,
whoever sponsors it's got to accept it as well.
Yes.
And then the last one is: are the club looking into digital advertising boards? As pretty sure these would bring many financial rewards for the club.
The answer to that's no, because the cost of getting them is prohibitive.
The cost of insurance from as well.
Yeah, and the cost of insuring them is prohibitive. The ones that were provided before were provided by the FA and their agents with a fee paid to the club. Straight away, the club looked at the cost.
Right,
and nearly
because
fell
they,
off a cliff.
right, fair enough. Because I know that they were quite lucrative.
At
on the-
our level, we might make it back in 30 years, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
On that footage, just as a thought back to the Solihull game, the one before that, the one before
Aldershot.
the scoreboard, every time I looked up at it, it got somebody's restaurant selling Christmas dinners. It's a scoreboard, it's not an advertising.
Had you forgotten what the score was?
Well, no, but you get the time, don't you? You go, oh, there's 20 minutes left.
I must say, I'm aware that the adverts do make money. I think that perhaps you ought to have the time on all the time.
Yes.
Because
It didn't happen on New Year's Day because I thought I'll watch for it on New Year's Day and I'll bring it up here. Because it didn't happen on New Year's Day, I didn't bother bringing it up.
I noticed whether the way they've done the loops was different, but I think that the advertiser's not going to mind because people will keep glancing up at it. So I think you don't worry about the score so much, but the time is.
But on New Year's Day, for
we
instance,
don't score.
New Year's Day, there were 11 mascots. So you've got, instead of one mascot or none, you've got 11. Going round.
Does the old scoreboard still work?
No.
Well, that answers that then.
No, it doesn't. Sadly, pity, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, we've had that one.
It's really good what they've done with time and actually running it over as well. Like they didn't do that at first, did they?
Well, it was allowed.
No,
regulation.
the FA wouldn't allow it.
Well,
It's only this season.
technically, there's nothing in the rules of the National League that say you can, but they do it in the Football League. So the National League of
Until recently, even in football,
Yeah.
it had to be cut off at 45 minutes.
Yes.
The clock
But
stopped.
they changed this year, and then so
That's a lot better.
there was a club that early on that started doing it, running it through, and somebody commented on it, and we just checked the rules, and there are no rules.
The reasons historical for it is they don't want anything on the scoreboard that can cause controversy.
Yes.
So if referee says 3 minutes over, you score at 4 minutes 11 seconds. You're going, whereas now they've accepted that everybody needs to. You're going to have 10 or 11 minutes. Everybody needs to know because we've got a bus to catch.
You can't have a 94th minute goal because football must only last 90 minutes.
Yes,
You can't have a 94th.
Yeah, we're getting But we've had times where we've had 14 goals in the 90th minute this season. Any in the room?
Do you see
questions?
Wrexham on Monday where their 3 goals in the first half were all after the 45th?
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they rolled down.
They were 1-0. Yeah, they were 1-0 down, going into the 45th minute.
I noticed that because they were near the bottom of the list. I normally on
45
my screen,
plus
just National
11.
League, but Wrexham were at the bottom of that one, and I pretend they were 1-0 down, and then a blink later when I read the half-time scores out.
They had 2 serious head injuries and one did go to hospital, so that's why it was. But yeah, they scored 3 goals.
Any comments, questions from in the room? Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for being online as well, Marcia.
Yeah, we had
Thanks for
22 at the
coming
peak,
online.
and we've got
Just one
18
thing,
there.
Phil, just a matter of information. When's the next meeting?
Of the committee?
The committee with the club, yeah.
Is it March? Or February?
23rd of March, I think.
Oh, right, okay. That's good. That's the week before Easter, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got a right weird set of fixtures for Saturdays. Yeah, because we have the full committee meeting on at 10 o'clock on a Saturday when we're at home. And so Eastleigh away, Barnet away, Welling away, everybody else and their uncle away and everything like that. Watford away, of course. And then you don't want it just before one of these meetings. You want it just after one of these meetings. So it's got to fall right.
It'll be 5 o'clock because still.
That's great.
They won't be going with the team. They'll be going. Probably remain.
So thank you very much. Meeting officially closed.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody online. Cheers.
Thank you.
I know. No, I'm retired.
You'll be watching Ruth Langford on QVC.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping not knowing.
I went to the relatives of Carol's farm.
son, Campbell, lives over in Fife.